Hi there, Neil from Diagonal Move, back with Lamps Are Going Out. We are in winter of 1915 and just carrying on the playthrough stroke tutorial I've been doing for this game over the last few weeks. The situation at the moment is the Central Powers of Germany, Austro-Hungary Empire and Turkey are really on the back foot. The Germans are surrounded, they're out of supply here. The Austro-Hungarians are threatened in the home nation of Vienna. Basically, the Germans and the Central Allies are really on the back foot massively at this point. And this video may well see the end of the game, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's start with the German turn and drawing the event card for this turn. And we have the U-boats unleashed. We can immediately advance one tech group U level, which will mean we'll go to U1, and the U-boat is flipped for free. Cool, that's awesome. So what we'll do in this circumstance is we'll just find that card, which here is commerce rating, and that has certain effects on the U-boat attack tables, essentially meaning we have a better chance of impacting production for the British. That's not bad at all. Movement and combat, right? As I said, we have a substantial problem. Berlin is threatened on two sides. We do have lots of units though, that's helpful. Threatened there, and there actually. We do have a broken supply line here. What we could do is we could try to claim back Hanover from Berlin, or even from the Rhine. Yeah, claim back Hanover from Berlin. That would solve a lot of our production woes this turn. Then we could try to remove the Posen unit again. Similar situation. If we can do that, we could then potentially arguably we could even try to get into Prussia, but what we really need to be aware of when we do that is this bunch of units here in Bohemia which could attack to the north. Let's just try attacking against Hanover in the first instance, which is just here. So let's do that. First unit attacking. Okay, attacking into Hanover. We have a 4 and a defense of a 1. That's pretty good. Do that again. Do we have a big push marker when we're attacking into our own country? That's a good question. Let me check that. It feels like it should be an FAQ or something, but as it appears that we do get a +1 attacking into our own country. Okay, we'll see. Germany roll a 5, which would be buffed to a 6, and that's a 2 for the Russians in Hanover, so they will retreat back into Bohemia. We must move that attacking unit into Hanover, which is fine. That's kind of what we wanted to do. But then I won't use any other units into that region. Well, at least we've got that production back. Now, what do I do with the remaining 3 units I could attack into Posen? There's a 3 production there, that would be useful. But if I do that, I do then leave this region quite vulnerable to Russian counterattack. I could attack into here, try to remove some of the effects of those guys. I want that production. Let's get that production back. It seems more likely that we would be able to win there, because we've got a whole bunch of units in the mountains there, so let's do that. So we're attacking into Posen. We have 3 units against a single unit defending, but they do have artillery. So let's start with let's start with the first German army. That's a 5. No big push marker because we're attacking into a new area. Only 4, meaning the army is spent. For the Russians, Germany will attack again. That's a 5 with the marker. Gives them a 6. Then I could roll the 2 dice to defend, but there's really no point. So that's a 5. Germany do take back Posen. So the Russians are pushed back. Now, here's a question. Do we push back into there? Because those guys will technically be out of supply, won't they? Oh, that's tricky. So those guys are now out of supply too. Because they came down through Posen. Oh, let's push them there so that they're not... We don't have too many supply worries. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Okay, we'll move 1 unit into Posen. Keep that unit there. And keep that unit there fresh too. Okay, I think the German attacks are done, to be honest. I don't think there's anything else we can really do. Well, we could attack. Well, actually, these guys are all fresh now because they are no longer out of supply, so they can attack. And they're going to attack into... Where are they going to attack? Where are they going to attack? That's a good question. They are going to attack... It would seem a shame not to attack into Paris, but it's much more heavily defended than Verdun. So we'll attack Verdun now. Oh, and Verdun has actually got 1 spent unit. So we will actually start our attack with here, and we will attack the trench using the flamethrowers. So this first attack gets a +2. I'm doing it from this region to try and minimise the effect, the defending power, basically, of the French for the attack that will come from here. Which is a 5 +2. Yeah, that no point rolling. That trench is removed. Move down 1. We do not get a big push marker. We've got a 1. That's appalling. And 1. Believe it or not, that was actually a success. Now we get the big push marker for our next roll. That's a 6. Come to 7 and a 5. Okay, yeah, that's cool. They are all spent. The trench does refit though. So we have an attack now from Germany from the Somme into Verdun with 4 units against effectively the trench and a bunch of spent units. Flamethrowers no longer count. So that is a 2 against a 6. Oh dear. And again 5. Okay, that was good. Then we do the attack against the defending spent unit. So 4. There isn't a buff. 6. Oh dear. And again 3 against a 6. Oh no, the Germans are not doing well here. 6 against a 3. Finally, we forced the French out of Verdun. They go into Paris. The trench is removed because it's overrun by the Germans. And I think we'll just move 2 units in and keep 2 in the Somme. Okay, so what looked like a complete whitewash of Germany starting to look a lot more favourable for them. So we do move into production. We'll have 11 production points for the Germans, and we'll do the U-boat attrition first, which is 2 dice per fresh U-boat, and there's 2 fresh U-boats, so that is a 3, and a 3 means it's spent if the US has declared war, which they haven't, and a 7 7 is spent if the Western Allies have the U2 tech active, which they don't. So nothing's spent there. So the Germans still have 2 fresh U-boats, potentially impacting production next time on the Western Allies side. But we now have 11 points of production to spend for the Germans. So let's have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's put a spent unit on. No. Let's build a trench. Let's build a trench, and we'll build a trench in. We'll build a trench in, well, wherever I build a trench, it's going to have to withstand some beating, isn't it? We'll build a trench in Hanover. No, let's build a trench in Posen, because they might attack in to redo the supply. Wow, even though this game is quite simple, there's an awful lot to think about as we move through. It really is. So the last thing to do then is the last things to do are the tech and the air reconnaissance. We have the P2. Oh, finally, we have 2 cards on the tech tree for Germany's air tree. It allows us to basically have an additional marker. So if we were to have 2, both sides were to have cards on the tech tree, we'd have a dogfight, but we don't. So keeping in line with my previous thinking, we basically just add another superiority marker, and I think we'll add that superiority marker into Germany. And Hanover in Germany. Okay, anything else? No, I don't think there's anything else to do for the Germans. So we move to the Western Allies, and their event card is Gallipoli's invasion demanded. Right, under certain conditions, Gallipoli must be invaded. Let's see what those conditions are. That's unhelpful at this point for the Western Allies. Again, this is an optional card. You don't have to have this. I've chosen to add these optional cards in. So here we go. Okay. Must attack Gallipoli unless there are no fresh British armies. Well, there are. The British have no fresh fleets. There is 1 fresh fleet. Greece has fully declared war and is triple entente controlled. No, it's not fully declared war yet. And a previous amphibious invasion has been attempted, which it hasn't. So we must take action in Gallipoli. So we have got to do an amphibious invasion in Gallipoli. Well, that's at least, if nothing else, it shows us how this works. What else do we need to do? Draw one more event card. Okay, the USA has vested interest. We will add 1 to the entry marker for the US, and then Brits get a production point this turn. Okay, that's useful. Cool. Right, we can only ever have 1 unit in Greece at a time, so we'll have to attack from Greece. And leave it quite open. Now that's not so bad at this point, but it could be if there were issues around Bulgaria and Serbia both being Central Powers controlled, which would mean a vacated Greece in terms of Western Ally presence would move the Western Allies back to neutral for the remainder of the game. So it would remove Greece back to neutral for the remainder of the game. But as it currently stands, only Serbia is Central Powers controlled. So we don't have too much of a problem there. But we do need to do that attack. Before we do that attack, though, let's think about movement and what we want to do with the rest of the board for the British, French and Italians. So the French are kind of stuck a little bit. They're kind of surrounded. They've lost another point of production. meaning they'll only have 3 even with the transferred production. I think doing an attack into Germany would be useful. Let's move the British into the mountains in Austria. That will enable us to consider an attack into here to try to take Vienna. It will also allow us to consider taking Bavaria. Probably more realistically Bavaria, I think. More realistically. When the Eastern Allies turn, we need to think about how to get these guys back in supply. But I think for now, let's worry about what we're doing on the Western Front. Do you know what? I don't want to risk the Western Front. It's not enough supply. And with that mandatory attack, that could be disastrous. Okay, let's do the amphibious invasion, these guys, and then straight to production. So the amphibious invasion has special rules. It does work very similarly to a normal attack, but the attackers can only roll 1 die. They will only receive a DRM if we flip a fresh fleet spent. The enemy occupied area, because it is occupied, will roll 2 dice in defense. The Dardanelles unit allows you to roll another die as well, and I think it may even be 3 dice. I think you roll because of that unit. If the attacker wins and the area is free, the unit must advance. If they're not free, then we form a beachhead. So basically what will happen is, if we don't force this unit to be removed right now, this will become a beachhead, which will bog down combat there for a while. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the attack here into here, and I'll just move this unit here to demonstrate that. So attacking, we will roll a single die, and then see what happens. So we've got a 5. I will flip that fleet to become a 6. I have the extra production for the British, that's useful. So that's now a 6 for the Brits. For the Turks defending, we have a few different things going on. We have this person who provides a defence. We also have the defence there and the amphibious invasion defence. I think it's 3 dice plus whatever that guy does. I would have to look that up. So we have a 4. And then that event card. Okay, that general provides a +1, which would only get us to a +5. So we're not going to use that there. That unit will be spent. That will have fired. But we haven't forced them to be removed, so there is a beachhead. Now let's have a look and see what beachheads do. Okay, so a beachhead is the same as a port, except 2 units may stack there, and you cannot begin an amphibious invasion from that point. Now just to note, these things here, these supply routes, are only applicable if both Gallipoli and Anatolia are Triple Entente controlled. Neither of them are at the moment, so these are effectively not viable. But we've done the invasion of Gallipoli, which is something, and it wasn't a disaster, which is quite useful. Right. What about Greece? We need to think about Greece because we don't have any units there at this point. So Greece may end up flipping back to neutral. Okay, basically, we don't have an army there. We won't have an army there into this turn. Central powers do control Serbia. therefore we do close Greece and it just comes back to neutral, which is annoying, but we could still get to Gallipoli if we take it from Rome or any of these other ports on the Mediterranean coast. Okay, but thinking about normal attacks now, we have 4 units in Austria. We could do some damage to the Germans, which I think we probably should try to, rather than taking here. Good question. What do we do? Excellent question that I haven't really resolved yet. Definitely gonna have to edit some of these thinking moments out. I think Bavaria would be useful. Bavaria and then Hanover. Maybe even Belgium. That would really cause problems if we took Belgium as well. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So Bavaria 3+. Go to 3. Nice. And we will move all the units in. Attacking into Hanover. We want okay, Germany is defending, so we want the first British unit, has rolled a 2. That's pretty rubbish. Germany defending with a 2. Oh, actually, that's a tie. We can flip the superiority to win there. Second British unit attacking into Hanover is a 3 and a 6. That's pretty bad. And the Italians then have a 5 and a 1. Okay, that is not great, but could have been worse from a Western Allies point of view. Okay, so we've taken some production power from the Germans. Other Western Allies things this turn. Let's do an attack into the Somme, try and take the Somme back. We could do it. We can at least try, can't we? So 4 French units, a British unit, and 3 artillery. Okay, but the Germans do have air superiority. So let's do an attack with the French. We will use one of those artillery units. Typically, they're both a 5. So the Germans then have a 4, meaning we have taken out one of those counters already. Second one again with artillery. Get to choose the 5. Big push would actually make that a 6. Germans can only hope for a 6. We've got a 2. Okay, cool. Last one. Brits against defending Germans. We won't use the artillery this time. We're 5. Big push makes that 6. Defending is a 5. Cool. That means we have taken back Belgium. No, taken back the Somme as the Western Allies, and we'll move the Brits in, and then we'll move 2 further units in. Okay, what happens next? An excellent question. The Germans must retreat, and they will retreat back into Belgium. Now we'll do the same thing, attack against a defending spent force in Belgium. That's a 2 for the First Army and a 2 for the Germans, meaning they have to retreat again. They will go in. We have 1 unit remaining, that's fresh. And I think we may as well attack into Hanover because that's being defended by a single spent, by 3 spent units. We may as well attack into Hanover. That's a 5 for the French and a 3 for the Germans. So they do move in, taking Hanover back. The Germans are forced to retreat into Berlin, and things are now looking very, very bleak for the Germans. Very bleak indeed. So we could do some attacking down here in Damascus. And now that we have Britain threatening Turkey, we may as well do that attack into Damascus, which is a 4. We do move in and flip that unit. Okay, cool. Production U-boat attacks. There's going to be 2 U-boat attacks. The first is a 3. That is a success. So 1 negative production modifier for the British. Second one is a 7. That is also an unsuccessful result from a British point of view, meaning it's -2 for the U-boat attacks on the British. But we'll worry about that in a minute. First, it is the Italians refit. They get 1 basic plus 2 here. That is 3. So they're going to refit both armies that are on the board and add in a 3rd unit into Italy. And that unit will go into Venetia spent. These counters here should all really be sat in Paris. The French get 1, 2, 3. Plus 1 is 4. And they will have 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of French units sat in Paris still. The British will have 7, 8 total. -2 is 6. So they're still doing pretty good. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. They are still spent. That'll do. It'll do. Hopefully the Russians will be able to do something about Austro-Hungarian Empire in a moment. Okay, technology first. And we have poison gas. Okay, this is cool. Well, in terms of the game, it's cool. It's essentially a card that can be used by the Western Allies next turn to add a modifier on a land attack. But first we need to think about the Eastern Allies' turn. Flip over their event card, which is Central War Industries. Negative DRM in the first attack by the Russians, which is disappointing, but we do buff their production. But Petrograd now has 2 production points for the remainder of the game. But let's think about that attack. What are we going to do? I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to move in and take back our own territory, and we are not going to be facing much resistance, so just move into Poland, flip the counter. That becomes our territory again. Now these units here will need to come in and attack Galicia, I think. But they do have that negative modifier, don't they? Oh dear, this is awkward. This is awkward. Let's do the attack against Austria-Hungary. No, we've got to get them back in supply because they can't refit. The attack will be here into the Galicia region. The first die roll is a negative modifier, so that is negatively reduced to 3. The artillery will defend with 2. Oh, wow, look at that. A 1 and a 2, so we'll take the 2. The mountains will modify that to a 3, but attackers do win ties, meaning that unit has to retreat, and then these guys will just move forward like so. With them back in supply, we may as well just do an attack here. Try to totally wipe out Hungary's production. Why not? 3+ from Galicia into Hungary. That's a 4. That's a success. This has to retreat. They're going to go back into Vienna. Yeah, things do look incredibly bleak now for the Central Powers. Production, 5 points because of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing else to do at this point. Flamethrower card should have been removed before. That was a German card that was used. That should be removed. Scorched Earth is still there. Not needed it yet. That's the card that allows the Russians to retreat without taking a loss. Central Allies' turn. This is the point in the game where you might concede if you were playing the Central Allies. Okay, Austro-Hungarian fleet. Remove 1 PP being transferred to Italy. There aren't any. No sea moves through the Mediterranean while the fleet is here, and we can remove that by expending a Austro fleet as the Brits. But that may not be too much of a worry right now, so I'll pop that over there as well, just to signify there's something we need to do. Right. Movement and so on for the Central Allies. So the Turkish can always move 1, so they will move 1 back. They can't attack across the water, but they can defend when they are at the end. When that, if they can refit that, they can attack. In Gallipoli, the unit is spent, so they cannot attack until they refit. They can't attack across the water. The Austrians only have they have 4 units, no production. They're going to have to attack back into Hungary and Galicia to try and get that production to stop them completely. Well, the game's basically, I'm pretty sure, I think if this was me playing, I'd call it quits here. But we're going to carry on. There's no movement to do really. So we will attack from Vienna into Hungary with just 1 dice, which is a 2 for the Austrians and a 5 for the defending Russians. Okay, we'll do it again, which is a 5 for the Russians and a 3. Okay. Oh, shall we do it one more time? One more time. It's a 5 for the attackers, bonafide to 6 because of the big push, and a 2. Okay, so they do need to retreat, and we do have a unit back in Hungary, meaning there can be some production for them to try to, refit some of their units. That is where I'll stop though for the Central Allies, and we will refit one of these units here in Vienna, and we'll also, for the Turkish, refit the unit down in Turkey. Okay, end of winter 1915. We're now moving into spring of 1916, meaning we'll need to rebuild the event decks and then go from there.